Thank you, Dia. Into Champion Select we go indeed. INTZ on the blue side. On the red side, it is Furia. First pick Maokai immediately, but I want to call your attention to the bans. Pyke being taken away from Zai. Even though it lost yesterday, INTZ want zero part of that pick.
Pyke still brings too much of kill pressure to the lane and just overall not a nice champion to be playing against. Despite him not really being in the meta, you don't want to be playing around him if you want to guarantee your laner a safe lane, especially if you want to bring in something like Aphelios with more of a scaling look into the game. Now we have Kai'Sa already looking for Furia, so I am anticipating the Aphelios Kai'Sa bot lane. Again, something we saw in the first game today, and that would make sense why they would ban out Pyke so much more.
Instead, it will be the Zaya. I was ready for that Aphelios as well. But a comp that's right now is looking to play a little bit backwards. Akali is a pocket pick of Nefarisis, but I would have been surprised if they busted it out right here, as Dia was alluding to. INTZ locked for playoffs pretty much in all but officially, but they're still fighting for that top four, whereas Furia, they have reset their expectations, looking just to clinch that playoff spot.
If you're really desperate and need this win, they have a very nice schedule ahead of them. Which means that right now is the moment when they need to grab this victory to make sure they have a very nice momentum to climb on top of. And they're picking some good champions for that. I love this recon pickup for them, especially with Pyke not available. If you still want to have some room created for yourself and for your AD carry on the board lane, you pick up Recon. You're really happy about it. He is seeing a very nice win rate right now throughout all of the regions in the professional scene. So it's a good pickup in general. And I love this Zaya that you mentioned earlier because it's Ninja Kiwi. But for a brief second, there is Ninja Kiwi on the side of INTZ. What else is the man going to go for if not for Zaya?
He will be on that Zaya, and I like that you pointed out that, yeah, I mean, that Rakan, it's so, the utility is immense. The wide-ranging possibilities, diversity in what you can do, not only in lane, but out of lane, making things happen across the map. A couple of top lane bans taken away from INTZ, ZZK. As you mentioned, Solari, these are two top laners that like to do completely different things, and so that's why you see, look, we're not going to give this guy Renekton, the Olaf. The Gwen is still a bit of a carry possibility. Gnar is still on the table. Ornn is still on the table for Betao, but they are forcing him onto that Ornn indeed because the other pick that Betao has shown on recently is that Kennen not going to be an option.
Yeah, they're really forcing the man into their own. But I love the bans from Furia, really eliminating the scariest top lane bullies from the side of ZZK, from the hands of ZZK. And they can pick whatever they want right now. I love the pick of Azir for the mid lane. Azir, we saw yesterday a very nice game at the very end of the day with Azir just waiting out until the scaling finally hits for him. And really, we have two champions on the side of Furia that rely on scaling, not too heavily in the case of Kai'Sa, but in terms of Azir, definitely this is a statement that they want to go into the late game and try to do something there.
ZZK having no choice but to blind his top laner. He will be piloting the Jax. Again, this guy, he loves to play the Olaf. He's got that 6 times under his belt, the Gwen as well. Yeah. And the Alistar, we saw Pro Delta put on a clinic on this champion, Nila on that champion. On the other side, Poppy locked in the top lane for Betao, another champion that, okay, it wasn't the Ornn, but it is a champion that for just a stable, kind of weak side top laner, be a teamfight utility king, that's what you've got. We're going to loop Dia back in here real quick to get his thoughts on the draft. We'll wrap it up and take it on to Summoner's Rift. Dia.
I really enjoy the ZZK Jax. This looks really good for them. The rest of INTZ operate as a solid core, so I'm feeling pretty comfortable with your team fighting chances. Problem is that with Furia, you still have a lot to contend with. I'm really excited, and I mean, let me know what you think, Solari, about Betao's Poppy as well. I think you can get a lot of value out of this pick.
I think Poppy is an exceptional pick here, especially as an R5 pick, because you have so many champions on INTZ side that rely on mobility quite heavily. There are two parts about their draft right now, the control and the mobility, and by taking Poppy in your hands, if you pilot her correctly, you're pretty much taking one of those parts away from the enemy team. You're blocking Jax, you're blocking Alistar, and if you don't let them get close to your carries most probably will stay alive for a little while longer.
Yeah, I felt really good about it. I'm a Poppy enjoyer myself, or at least used to be, back before my old man hands got a little bit too much, even for a tank champion. At this point, however, I want to know, 4x4, did you feel that chess match between the coaches? Because that was what I was really focused on during the course of this draft, and I definitely saw two game plans evolving as the draft went on, even with so many powerful champions picked up.
Yeah, I definitely felt it, and I think it culminated in that R5 Poppy. It was going to be either the Ornn or the Poppy, right? Something safe, something weak side, something that's going to allow Betao to shine in what he has been kind of labeled as maybe sometimes a little too much and a little unfairly as, oh, he's just kind of this team fight, weak side, weak link on this team.
Is that a bad thing?
Yeah, no, but that, exactly. It is not a bad thing, right? If you've got a defined game plan and you've got IU, who is as mechanically gifted as he is, the insanity that he puts on in the micro, you don't need him to be anything else. And also, he has proven the haters wrong with a couple of phenomenal Kennen performances. Really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do on this Poppy now. But on the other side, you pointed out, Solari, it's going to be interesting to see. Can Furia hold off and, you know, just kind of play these fights patiently? Because there are a few threats to deal with. It's, you know, you've got to hold off the Alistar, you've got to hold off the Jax, and from there, yes, you've got Poppy, but also the Shurima Shuffle, IU, his ability to reposition himself, Zai can move around the map. The fights are going to be really fun to track. I think I'm going to get my money's worth as a play-by-play.
Oh yes, especially the fights around the objectives, because in both the teams we have the top laners and especially the junglers who really excel at those team fight preparations, you know, the setups for the fights, for the big objectives. You have Maokai, which means INTZ will be looking to relying on his ultimate together probably with the passive plus the ultimate from Ani, because this is a really powerful combination. You can allow Furia to stop dragons and barons every single time, because you know you will be able to lock them down in the pit and never let them get out of that alive. It is pretty much an immediate burst into the enemy. It's on the map though. There is Sejuani, who can lock you in as well if she pleases to do so. And there is Poppy, who can literally knock you right out of the pit or whenever the fight is happening. So the fights are going to be very explosive, but to be fair, we like them that way, don't we?
Oh, we absolutely do. That's what you sign up for in this league.
Yeah.
Entertainment value at an all-time high. No, these fights should be extremely chaotic, extremely explosive. Like you said, it's going to be, we talked about the chess match, excuse me, in the draft. The chess match in these fights is going to be interesting as well. Like you said, Furia, they're free to start the fights how they want, because INTZ, they're going to go in right after them. And then what's the counterpunch from Furia? The point-and-click CC from Sejuani, the, you know, Keeper's Verdict and the Shurima Shuffle from Tuts and Betao. ZZK getting the level advantage here on Betao, just staying out of turret aggro range. My goodness, that is the type of just micro knowledge that comes from a long, long time of playing this game.
That is also dangerously low health bar on Poppy. That is pretty much how we expect the top lane to look like. This is ZZK, who wants to be dominating lane. He wants to get the prio there, and he wants to keep it. That's why he plays the champions that really want to be lane bullies. We saw that Olaf in the bounce, we saw the Renekton in the bounce as well. Even though I believe he doesn't play Renekton that much, it still is the type of the champion that really suits his playstyle. And even by picking Jax, who usually prefers to scale up a little bit, to be in the side lanes a lot, to split push like a madman, he still possesses quite a lot of power, especially when he gets to his level 6 on the lane. He can try to go for a kill confirmed. And after completing the first item, you're not getting away from him. He will most definitely go for a kill confirmed.
And proxying the wave here early, ZZK just utter domination so far, trapping Betao under the tower and gonna get himself a really nice recall. Probably not gonna have to burn TP either. He crashed that third cannon wave in. Really good early wave management by ZZK. Gonna grab himself a cull, happy to just sit back and let the game come to him and wait for that level 6, like you were saying, getting the Grandmaster at arms, getting those resets going.
Yeah, he doesn't even need the Herald to do the pay into the enemy turret. He just does it himself with the melee.
Exactly. Yeah, that third wave hitting very, very hard. And to be fair, Betao doing a good job of CSing all of that, right? I mean, ZZK got himself a completely free wave, but actually Betao ahead in CS ever so slightly, because he's going to be the first one to that fourth wave. Zai thought he had a window in onto Ninja Kiwi, a little low on mana, but doesn't quite find the grand entrance.
It's Rakan. He will be jumping on and off. I don't know. Plus, it's his lady on the lane. Come on, how can he resist jumping into her? It's his lady who has a cleanse, to be fair, so Ninja Kiwi is prepared for this matchup, but she doesn't have level 6 yet, so this Xayah is pretty punishable, especially if you get the flash out of her. However, Furia need to remember that they're standing against Alistar lane, and Alistar is really good at those really aggressive supports during the early stages of the laning phase, because he can knock them off and he denies them the access to the AD carry.
Yeah, he's an absolute brick wall. So the access points for Zai and IU are going to be few and far between. But with the Rakan, okay, you couldn't get yourself... I mean, actually, they could have gotten themselves the Nautilus. But, like you said, the Alistar would have been a similar kind of counter-engage to that as well. But Zai, he's just trying to blow summoner spells like you were alluding to. If you can burn the Flash, if you can burn the Cleanse, then this gets a lot easier pre-6 without the Featherstorm. With the lane advantages now that the INTZ players have created, getting some deep vision here, ZZK. He's pretty much running this lane, and Batao happy to sit back and soak pressure. Now, Sparrows...
As long as he's... Yeah.
No, go ahead.
As long as he's not behind INTZ, he is fine doing exactly that, as you said, and he is not behind INTZ, just a couple of minions that don't count.
No, I mean, that's basically even, right? Ayu and Zai able to shove this first wave in. Mid laners have burned their teleports and come back with just boost. Not a ideal recall, but Tuts grabbed himself the Mercury Treads into the heavy magic damage, like you said. The Maokai has a ton of sneaky magic damage, right? Especially early on, and once he gets that Demonic Embrace, which it looks like that might be what he's rushing here. Furia are the first ones to the Dragon. Get away with it pretty much scot-free unless Yampi has anything to say about it. Nosferus looking to grab the pincer in. Flash in. He's got the ultimate. Flash stun. It's just that easy. The Shurima Shuffle is not enough to save Goot. Such a powerful tool. First blood over to Nosferus.
The idea was there for Furia, and you have to give it to them. You have the bot lane who is ahead, you have the enemy jungler who doesn't have the level 6 yet, so you want to go in and secure the Drake. The thing is, they were not able to do that quickly enough and to get away from the enemies. With this rotation from the mid laners you mentioned right before the Drake was started, it was the most crucial moment, because level 6 available for both of them. But level 6 on Annie means so much in this very enclosed fights that happened there.
Zai able to get the purchase on Ninja Kiwi. Nia just going to knock the AD carry away, but trade very much in favor of Furia. No summoners burned, though. Nia already had the Ignite down from the previous engagement, so still no summoners burned on that AD carry.
They would really like to burn something from Zaya, but she's getting close to level 6, and after level 6, it is much harder to punish her, unless you bring in additional forces, which is something INTZ are doing instead. Look at Annie, she almost has the passive, has level 6. Does she want to go a bit further? She'll not find anybody.
No, just barely. He was able to get the shove there and get the push away from Tuts. Grab themselves a few more items, but I don't actually think has really cashed into a ton of effect that initial injection of gold. But feeling alright so far, down about 10 CS as a result. Goot making his home in the top side of the jungle, just getting some vision down before that Herald spawns in about half an hour.
Quite possibly is going to meet up with Yampi there, because when you have the top lane that is pushing heavily, that has the constant prior, you want to be using it by going onto the heralds and securing the first herald in the game. And Yampi was in the top part of the map, decided not to commit into anything. Look at who might be committing, because we have two members of Furia hiding at the top river right now, looking at ways to do something to prepare even further for the herald.
Tuts has the Emperor's Divide already back off cooldown. It's not really to do much damage early on, just to reposition people. Zai, like I said, he got that roam up. There he goes with the Shurima Shuffle. Beautiful against Nosferus and Nia. Here comes the counter engage. Nature's Grasp from Yampi. Locks down and destroys Goop. INTZ call the bluff and throw everything down.
2-0 they go. Unbelievable. It is Furia trying to set things, and it is Furia giving away another kill to that Annie. You don't want to see Annie in the enemy team as somebody who's collecting all the kills. Even though, yes, she will turn into a very... She can turn, okay, let's put it this way, into a very nice utility mid laner. But if you feed Annie nicely, she has so much damage. And you saw already for the second fight in a row just how much her point-and-click control brings in. That's a good moment to go onto her. We have to give Furia again that, because you have the ultimate and it doesn't have the passive on her. So it looks like the perfect moment. But no, it is going to be turned around, because the damage is still there, the control is going to be there at the Annie, and with a little help mates, it's going to be enough to turn it around.
Yeah, you start to worry a little bit, I think, if you're a fan of Furia, because like you were saying, Solari, oh baby, Nia just calling Zai's bluff, going immediately onto Ayu. So the damage return there onto Nia. He's got the Unbreakable Will, should he want to pop it, doesn't opt to blow it just yet. Zai gonna find himself some vision. Nosferus doing a great job. This guy is everywhere. Just push, roam. On the other side, seeing that the bottom lane is where the action's happening, Goot gonna start up that Herald.
They're gonna get the Herald. plus probably they could even transition it into something on the top lane, but on the bot lane, Ninja Kiwi is going to be getting the turret plays. He's only sitting on 1 assist right now, but this is Ninja Kiwi who is getting pretty much free gold right now. That's not something you really want to be seeing. It's giving me flashbacks from the first game of today, when there was Tristana very happily collecting the turret plays, and it was House who was collecting those, so you don't want to be seeing that don't give free gold to Zaya, because she's gonna get to her first item, and it's gonna be a bigger power spike than what Kai'Sa is going to have, though. I have to stand corrected. I don't think this is going to be static shift Kai'Sa.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, because I think with that long sword, that kind of betrays it, because the Kirk's shard builds out of a dagger, does it not?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it's not going to be that, but...
It's Kraken Slayer?
Yeah, full AD. Okay, so maybe not opting for the poke. Maybe saying, look, you've got a lot of magic damage. We want to play for the late game. We want to play for the team fight. I suppose that would make sense.
Yep. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I don't love what's happening on the mid lane, but for Kai'Sa, it is really nice for Furia to have this 80 damage, because, as you mentioned, there is quite a lot of AP damage. Oof. There is the Azir, there is the Sejuani. Sejuani actually deals quite a lot of that AP damage. You usually don't think about it, it's the same as with Maokai or On, but she does quite a lot of it. And you will need to be cutting through things like Alistar and Jax, and you will need some consistent 80 damage output to do so.
Let's see what the rest of the build path entails. But Tut's still not on his mythic item. He opted for the Mercury Treads early, so that first mythic is going to be a little delayed. To be fair, Nosferos did the same thing, but he has had much more of an impact. Here's what we were talking about, Solari, the Nature's Grass going out with Furia trapped in the pit, and INTZ go over the top. Zaya in the backline trying to get some sort of CC down. No one dies just yet. Zay might pay the iron price here, but I thought that looked like a beautiful engage for INTZ. They only get one, but they surrender the dragon.
That was supposed to work out much better for them. Ooh, the shuffle is coming in. Ooh.
Just gets Tibbers as not exactly the target he looked for. And
Yeah.
I think Tut saw he only got Tibbers. ZZK was winding up the stun. He goes, oh, I'm in trouble here.
Yeah, just in a little bit of trouble. Look at the health bar of Tuts. That is not exactly the exchange he was looking to have. But on the bot lane, that was a really high price for INTZ to pay for just one kill. They gave away the dragon, opening up the Infernal Soul, so Furia already have to wait towards the Infernal Soul. They gave away the flash on Ninja Kiwi and the ultimate, so right now Ayu could be looking for some ways to go onto that Zaya, but is not quick enough to do so. By the way, it is static shift in the end. I just don't know what's happening with Kai'Sas these days.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough read. I was fully on board with you. I thought it was the AD Kai'Sa. I think it's so good. I understand that Kai'Sa is really strong, partially because of the versatility she gives, and that the AP build can do so much. I love the AD build, though. I think just with someone like Ayu as well, you want to let him just flex his muscles, flex his mechanics. Yeah, just let him cook. But look, still doing okay here. Look, they're only down 1,000 gold. Furia have the 2 dragons. No towers have been taken either way. So to kind of take stock of things, even though the kills have gone over towards INTZ little by little, especially with this Herald coming down as well, it's not like the objective control has been lacking. It's actually been phenomenal for Goot and company. 2 dragons and 2 Heralds as well.
A very nice play indeed. I agree with the audience back there in Brazil. That is getting the goal difference to only around 1k. I cannot do the math of the goal difference between the teams for my life, but it is around 1k right now, which is not too bad for Furia, but still they are the ones in the goal deficit. They need to try more ways to get more into their pockets. The dragons will be a really nice option because they already have 2, and as I said, the Infernal Soul is going to be super beneficial for them with the additional damage that is going to be scaling with them later in the game. If they continue playing around the bot side and putting more emphasis on Drakes, that could be their way into a very nice mid game.
Yeah, it's been so far so good. They've been first to pretty much every objective, and sometimes they've had to pay the price of a team member or 2, but it's not like INTZ have really taken a lot in response, right? Like you said, it was, you know, Zaya getting a bunch of turret plating gold, but that's kind of been it. Now they might try something here. Furia, ZZK maybe smelling the blood in the water. Let's see if he can take someone down with him. Here comes DP, but is it too little too late? ZZK gets the stunning strike there. Tut sends the Sand Soldiers in. Nosferos TP's out, but it's just too late. Hang on a second. Yampy throws the Nature's Grasp down. Might have signed a little bit of a death sentence for himself. Nia and Ninja Kiwi rotating up, but it is too little too late. Furia get one back.
Yeah, too little too late is exactly the way to describe that fight from INTZ, unfortunately. Very nice collapse from Furia, but for INTZ, when the enemy is collapsing 4 men onto one of your laners, what are your options? Option 1 is to try to immediately rotate there and help the laner to stay alive or get more kills in return, which was the option INTZ decided to go for. But it didn't work out for them, they didn't get absolutely anything. At the same time, the other option is to do something on the other part of the map, but INTZ have completely abandoned the bot side, so they did nothing, they just gave away 1 kill, and it is a kill on ZZK, who is in 1 item already, but he couldn't do anything in that situation. That's just super unfortunate for INTZ. They're giving away gold and prior to Furia.
And now that gold lead is shrinking to under 1,000. You want to get ZZK involved in these team fights, in these early skirmishes, but Furia have done a good job of sending members up. Their rotations have been good, and just kind of shutting down ZZK. He really hasn't been a part of much. 0-1-1. But like you said, Solari, he is on that Divine Sunderer, and that's going to make him hit like a truck. He's just chasing Betal out of the lane. Betal knows that this is a 1v1 that he is not going to win, even with the Sunfire Cape. All that stacking armor and the ramping damage, not going to be enough to take down the Jax. Still another 15 to 45 seconds before these next 2 objectives come up, so even in a low-kill game, it's not like it hasn't been eventful. We've had good objective control by Furia, good skirmishing by INTZ. Both these teams very much locked in. What we said was an extremely important game for both of them. Maestro talked in the pre-game interview, the head coach of Furia, saying, look, we've reset our expectations. 4th place, that's not really it. I want to get these kids some playoff experience.
Is he going to get it though? Because right now Furia are looking into trying to win this game, but they're still 3-1 and they're not the ones having the 3 kills. What are they going to do? Because they have 2 objectives. The Herald has already spawned, the Drake is spawning right now, and you have the choice of which one you want to take. But Bytudes being on the top lane, getting the first turret of the game, it pretty much feels like this is going to be their Herald priority for them. And to be fair, it makes total sense. They can give away the Drake right now. It's only going to be 1 Drake for INTZ. As long as they don't give any other Drake for INTZ to stop the stacking process of Infernal Drakes, which is going to be really deadly for Furia. If INTZ do that, they should be fine if they don't allow this to happen.
Yeah, 1 is okay, then it starts getting a little bit dicey. Like you said, stacking those Infernal Drakes. 1 is not much, but then the INTZ have the window to say, no, we want to get 4 plus the soul. So able to stop it, to stop the dragon stacking for Furia. They got their first 2, and now that's the 2nd Herald picked up by Goot and Furia. Only the first neutral objective that they have given up. Mythic items starting to come in across the board. The Radiant Virtue has come in for Goot. Looking at the total gold graph on your left there, Tuts getting a ton of solo gold, as you saw on in the top lane, and Ninja Kiwi still benefiting off those turret plates that he was taking in the early game. Now, Solari, I've got a little bit of a question for you. With this Static Shiv having come in now for Furia, for the Kaisa, for IU, does that kind of throw a wrench in the game plan of, okay, maybe we just team fight for late because, this isn't an item built for damage necessarily for IU. So I worry that they're over-reliant on Tuts.
I have this feeling too, because Tuts is good and Tuts is playing a champion that can do a lot in the team fights, but is this over-reliance going to be a little bit too much for them? I have a feeling it might just be the case, because IU will still need quite a lot of time online. Tuts the same, he's just sitting on an item and a half, going into Nature Suit as the 2nd item as well. It's interesting, but Furia will take a lot of time to be able to fight on the grounds when they feel like they are winning against them just by default, just by the items they have. INTZ, by that, are getting a very nice winding. They already took first Drake, they can continue pushing through the lanes, they can continue fighting for more advance on the map, and if they do so, they might just lock Furia in a situation when they are not scaling up, because there is nowhere for them to scale into. There is no late game for them, and that's what worries me, because it has already been happening for them for the last couple of games.
Furia loves chaos in the early game, but they've opted for a little more late game this time around. INTZ in an equally important position here, needing to pick up the win. They pull the trigger, Nature's Grasp out. That is a wide radius and a long range. It only gets 1. Barely scratches the pinky toe of Betal. And that's kind of all they've got. There's no objectives to fight over. Really just kind of looking to clear some space and make sure that they can farm safely in their own jungle. We're getting into that ever so stale mid game where both these teams know that this game is on a knife's edge right now.
Furia still have the Herald though, sitting on good.
Yeah.
So for INTZ, it is important to make space right now to make sure that there is no good Herald angle for Furia. And you can keep pushing in the waves, rather keep pushing the waves away from you, which is more important in that sense, especially because they've lost the turret on the top lane already. And with the Baron coming up in less than a minute, the focus will be shifting towards this Baron and maintaining the vision around it. So for INTZ, it is important to keep the lanes in control for now and for a little while longer. And then in 2 minutes, that is when things are going to get fiery, because that is when the Drake is going to come up, that is when the Nation is going to be completed for Tuts, some more items might fall in, maybe even almost a second item for Xayah. So that's when a big fight most probably will happen.
Yeah, now the team feeling super confident just yet in their skirmishing ability or in their ability to take down a Baron, right? Any sort of vision around Baron would be not for the Baron itself, but for the fights around it. And like you said, the Drake, a much more reasonable objective. Maybe you can bait someone and you can bait a team into a fight, get a quick reset in, and then take that second objective on the increased power that you would get. Finally, Goot gonna drop down that second Herald into the mid lane. Maybe not quite as much pressure as they would have liked created, but IU helps clean up the wave. And in goes that second Herald, but here comes Nosferus. He's got Flash, he's got ult. That's kind of all you need is Andy. IGC gonna pull the trigger first. In goes Nosferus. Gets the CC down. There's not much that Zai can do about it. Burns the heal, but to what end? Oh, Shurima Shuffle! He gets everybody. Tuts might have turned that fight around. Furia now coming out on top out of nowhere. INTZ picked the fight, but they are the ones picked apart.
No way they just did it. No way, after we said that we were worried about their over-reliance on Tuts, Tuts goes in and says, hey, you know what? These guys were right about their over-reliance on me, because my Empress Divide is going to divide and conquer. A very good start of the fight for Furia as well, because it was Ninja Kiwi who got locked down immediately by the Glacier Prison from Good, taking away the 80 carry from the enemy team, taking away a big chunk of damage from them, allowed Furia to continue bashing onto the enemies, and now they have a Baron out of that. That is a good fight from them. They decided with the Herald, taking away a little bit of attention from INTZ, making them a little bit busy with them with the engage from Yapi. They see an opportunity to go in with Nia jumping in, but look at that. There is going to be Zai jumping around with so much control onto the enemies, preparing everything for this one ultimate from Azir that decides everything.
And it looks so good for INTZ. I was winding down a very pessimistic call for the Intrepids, but unbelievable. I mean, and it wasn't even anything flashy from Tuts. It wasn't like a flash, you know, EQ, I'm gonna get maximum range and do just this big old sweep. Everyone was just on top of him. He was perma-stunned. The upfront damage wasn't enough to kill him. He was just like, look, as soon as I can press R again, you guys are toast. And that's exactly what happened. And now they're gonna grab themselves a Dragon and a Baron to boot. Solari, this game was deadlocked 45 seconds ago, and now a 4,000 gold lead plus a Baron buff for Furia.
All of a sudden, and that's so good for Furia right now. Look at how much control they're taking from the map. Look at how much they're using off the Baron buff, and they still have the split push potential, because right now Betao is on the bot lane, being a little bit busy there with ZZK, but that's the usual for the top laners. But now Furia can rotate. They can stick all together, forcing INTZ to be afraid of a fight, because INTZ still will not win this fight if they decide to go into Furia again. Or they can completely split each other. They can go and split push as much as they want. They still have Kai'Sa with the static shape. They can do whatever they want. The other one's dictating the pace of the game from this moment on. For INTZ, the question is, what are you doing from now on? Because that's not where you planned to be.
They just melt towers so fast. I mean, the attack speed as well. It's coming in for Tuts. It's got the Leandries with that Nashor's Tooth, and I love the Abyssal Mask pickup as well for Goot. Right? If they said, look, if we're gonna lean into all this magic damage, let's lean in all the way and make Nosferus go second item Banshee's there.
Unbelievable. You don't want to be going Banshee on Annie. You want to have more damage. And poor Annie is being forced to go into a little bit more of a defensive build, and she's not the only one. There is going to be more AP defense items coming in from INTZ, because that's what they really need to be relying on. Right now, they still need to depush the waves and still need to answer the push from Furia. They still have half a minute of the Baron. That's quite a lot. But after that, Furia are still going to be fine, because they are sitting on the soul point. The next Drake in 3 minutes is going to be decisive for Furia, because if they take this one, it will completely cross out all the chances for INTZ to have a decent fight with them.
And if they get that decent fight, they need ZZK and Ninja Kiwi to pop off. I mean, the only saving grace is that they haven't died yet, I guess, but even then, on the other side of that, the Cynic could say, well, they haven't gotten close enough to have an impact. ZZK gonna grab himself the Black Cleaver, gonna help out Ninja Kiwi as well. There's such a cost-efficient item to boot. He's got that Null Magic Mantle. Maybe he goes into that Maw second, maybe a Wit's End. Let's see what he ends up building into here. Nia thinks he's found an engage here. Gets the headbutt pulverized there onto Zai, but nothing doing otherwise. Yeah, I need to see ZZK be a bigger part of this fight, right? He was able to get an early advantage, got that Divine Sunderer so quickly. Betao now thinks he might have a little bit of purchase on him, but it's just Furia continuing the pressure that they built up from that Baron push.
They won this in turret in the mid lane. If they take it, the next dragon is going to be pretty much free for them because INTZ will lose all control of their jungler effectively from that moment. If Furia are doing that, look at that, they're pushing in. They have all their ultimate. For INTZ, they need right now to rely on their ultimates as well because I'm still looking at Adi. She popped off a little in the beginning of the game, but it feels like it wasn't enough. Nosferis needs to pull this off again. He needs to go in. He needs to throw all the control at Furia because otherwise, I am not seeing what INTZ is doing on the map right now.
No, and that the Nature's Grasp right from the Maokai, it's so wide and it gets such a long range and it moves decently quick, not as fast as it used to, but still moves pretty dang fast. But it's not, if that's your only form of CC, things aren't really going to go well for you, right? You need to get that layering on top of it, and ZZK and Nosferis can get that, but like you said, at this point, you are kind of relying on everything going perfectly here, whereas Furia, they've shown that they can fight backwards, and we haven't even seen like a crazy Keeper's Verdict from Betao. We haven't seen that game-changing Poppy ult yet. He hasn't had to have that.
There was one Keeper's Verdict, but it wasn't anything big or flashy or anything like that. Zai, are you sure about your position right now?
Yeah,
because
that was
he was
very
dancing
brave.
around INTZ. I was really worried for that little recon, but he seems to be fine. The team is around, coming up in less than a minute. Good time for Furia to be here.
Yeah, they have just, in the last 5 minutes, I mean, it was so impactful. They have completely changed the course of this game and surrendered almost nothing after the fact. Now, they have surrendered actually about 1,000 gold now that I'm thinking about it, because at the end of that Baron play, it was a 4,000 gold lead, now down to 3. So INTZ have just been kind of happily taking the gold that the minions have presented themselves with and not really fall for the bait that, like you were alluding to, the INTZ, or Furia rather, they weren't able to get that second tier 2 and establish that complete dominion over the jungle. But still, when you break open that mid-tier 1, it's so crucial because it allows those avenues in. But INTZ played patient during that first Baron siege. They didn't make any sort of dumb sudden moves, didn't put themselves in range, you know, for Tuts to just Emperor's Divide you into oblivion. So, hats off to INTZ.
And ZZK did quite a lot because if you look at the bot lane, there are no turrets available for Furia apart from their base turret because Z has been there non-stop and he's there right now. Look at that. Furia are at the Baron. Look at what INTZ are doing. They're not fighting them at the Baron, and that is the smartest thing they can do right now. They're taking the Dragon, having the second Infernal break, and at the same time ZZK is on the bot lane. He's pushing in, he's bringing in a lot of pressure. Yes, it's going to be a Baron for Furia. That is really bad, but you have taken something in return in the meantime.
He's taking a couple things in return. I'm glad you pointed out ZZK there, right? With the Unleashed teleport available, he's also gotten himself a ton of map pressure on the other side. Just farming. Let's see what he grabs himself with that extra gold once he does get back into base. Looks like he will be on his way towards that Wit's End, if my memory is serving me correct about what it builds out of. I think so. And the double Abyssal Mask has come in, meanwhile, on the other side for Betao. But yeah, no, I mean, INTZ doing a good job of keeping this game, you know, reasonable right now, keeping this lead manageable. INTZ making an impact outside of the fights. Because I mean, if I'm playing Jax right now, I'm saying, dude, I want to go in there. I want to get that big stun after, you know, the headbutt pulverize, after the Nature's Grasp come down. Give me a big 3-man counter strike and let me cook. But INTZ playing disciplined League of Legends, not opting for anything they're not going to take, or they're not going to win rather. And now that forces Furia back to where we were 5 minutes ago, trying so desperately for that mid-tier 2.
Will they be able to take it now? This is their second attempt. This is their second Baron attempt of taking it.
Yeah.
It seems like they're a little bit more successful this time because they finally have the counter minion to do the job for them. But look at ZZK. I love the man so much in this game. He's constantly somewhere else doing so much work, though this time it is less impact because of Furia. Look at Betao. He is so quick at this turret.
With the 2 cannon minions, the Baron of Wave. getting a lot done. ZZK having an impact on all parts of the map, but Betal playing the map intelligently as well. This is something that, again, even on the Kennen, a champion that he was doubted on, these carry-style champions, not that Poppy is that, of course, but being able to play the map effectively on those champions. Oh, baby, we've got a spicy TP flank, but can they arrive on time? There's the big ultimate that they were looking for. Nosferus, you beauty, gets the CC down. Now let ZZK cook, and that's exactly what he does. Ninja Kiwi takes down Tuts, and Furia run with their tail tucked between their legs.
Oh my goodness, INTZ found the angle, the only angle that could ever work out for them, and they found it flawlessly, that teleport into their backline, because when you were talking about ZZK wanting to jump into the backline of the enemy, that is exactly what Jax wants to be doing, but it gets you really worried about how he's going to do that, because the enemies are always so grouped up. They are never letting you get anywhere. Well, the answer is going to be some very nice backline teleports, while the rest of your team is getting the attention from the enemies. Beautiful stun from those Furias. They're just absolutely smashing it. And look at Ninja Kiwi, because the man got untouched. Nobody was able to get to him, and he is dealing consistent AD damage.
If you let Ninja Kiwi free fire, this is what's going to happen. IU didn't even get to play the game, had the flash up, had the cleanse up. He just could get nowhere near. Tuds got himself a Zanya's to make himself a little more durable, get himself those really high leverage plays, but that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, the impact of these ultimates, I mean, it's just a shame we don't have any sort of Cloud Drakes or Cloud Souls, because you see how huge these two mid laner ultimates can be. They're absolutely fight changing.
Yes, they are. But to be fair, I'm quite happy that Drake is not the Cloud or anything like that. The Infernal Drake is very big stakes, which means both the teams need to be there. A minute and a half is when the next one is going to be spawned. Furia are sitting on the soul point right now for INTZ. If they take the next one, it's going to be their third Drake. So for both all the teams, that is absolutely crucial to go for it. Especially for INTZ. They need to deny the soul to Furia because it's going to give them too much of an upper hand. But if they continue stacking the Infernal Dragons, each Infernal Dragon gives you a boost. If you have 4 of them on top of each other, that is so much additional power that you're dragging with yourself into the late game.
And they are going to need it. The scaling favors Furia by a little bit here, but it's not like INTZ don't have a hyper carry of their own. Jax scales extremely well. Ninja Kiwi on the Xayah. He's going to be dealing out a ton of damage. He's got the Lord Dominic's regards as well. Got himself a stopwatch. The Void Staff has been picked up by IU. This is ramping up. I mean, these fights have been so close, and they've been so explosive. That's what we said in the beginning of the game, that these sort of counter punches in the middle of the fights were going to be so much fun. And man, have we gotten our money's worth so far. Furia playing this one a little more patiently. It is going to be that last Infernal Dragon up for grabs in about 20 seconds. For Furia, it's soul. For INTZ, they can afford to give it up. Hang on a second. Goop might have found a pick. Nosferus is down. The fight shifts in the favor of Furia. ZZK in the back. Like, what can he do? The Shriva Shuffle gets the Jax out of the fight, and 2 kills go over to Tuts.
Oh my god, the fights in this game are about who is going to pull the trigger first and do that efficiently, because we already saw the fights where, for example, INTZ were pulling the trigger in first, but they couldn't really succeed because Fury turned it around. It's about how well you pull that trigger, going on immediately onto Nosferus, getting him out of the game, and he has such an important ultimate, such an important utility that you know he needs to be a primary target. And what was another important fact is that right before the fight started, IU has chipped off ZZK quite a lot. Just a couple of W's from that Kaiser dealt so much damage to the health bar of ZZK that he couldn't really rejoin the fight and be as efficient as he wanted to be.
Now things get really tricky because the Infernal Soul has come in just under 6 minutes. It will be the Elder Dragon that we're fighting for. Tons of magic damage coming in. Oh, baby, ZZK in some trouble. The world's most meager ward hop. Oh, my goodness. And now Tuts, he's got himself a cheeky angle, goes over the wall. Bonk, able to get the counter-strike off, but Betal smashes into him, beats him over the head with a hammer. Stopwatch is just going to buy his team a little bit of time to do what exactly? Maybe get a pick here onto Goop, but that is a Sejuani with 3 items. That is going to be tricky. IU with the Killer Instinct, gets the W down. A lot of damage onto Nia, just chewing through the Alistar, even with the ultimate up. There goes the Glacial Prison. Solari, they have absolutely everything up. They don't run out of means to start a fight. There goes the TP. The Dangerous Grasp doesn't even matter. He just completely negates the ultimate from the Maokai.
Just how much damage did Furia have already? How much control and how much damage? Poor CZK couldn't get out, even going golden. Bobby was dancing around with a shield up, knowing that he could not jump out anymore. And the amount of damage from Furia, the amount of damage of IU, man has 1, 2, 3, 4 items already completed. He is cutting through everybody, and he doesn't care how much magic resists anybody on with the void stuff. He's like, I don't care. I don't give a damn. I'm cutting through you with my W's and whatever else I want to throw at you.
That void staff, man, that is doing a lot of work. I am happy to tip my cap. I said it early in the game. I wanted to see the AD Kaisa. I was wrong. You know, you still worry that, look, this is basically all magic damage, right? And even like you were alluding to earlier, the Sejuani does a little bit of sneaky amount of magic damage. So the damage profile to counter against is pretty easy, to be fair, but it's been working so far, right? And with the Infernal Soul, we just get that little bit extra oof. So what do I know? Hats off to Furia, man. They proved me wrong. This has been really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, it seems like the AP Kaisa is the way to go in the end. I mean, we might be unhappy about it, but hey, if it works, right? And Furia say, if it works for us, it works. Because they're pushing it. This is, what, the third Baron that they have already in this game. And they want to use it to finally destroy the turrets on the enemy base. Because if they do so, there is going to be no Elder Flame possibility for INTZ. Or even if there is, there's going to be a tiny one because they'll be too busy pushing away the waves from their base.
Exactly, and even if they can get themselves for
ZZK.
Oh my goodness, ZZK, you monster!
Oh my god!
Oh, I'm jumping up and down in my seat. This is so much fun. Can ZZK get there on time? Toots able to get the damage down. They smash ZZK right into the wall. Vital takes him right out of the fight. I stumbled over my words because there was so much going on. Yep, he's gonna get stunned up. Furia, they don't even need the Baron buff, but it certainly doesn't hurt. They mop INTZ off the map. Do you believe in the Furia kids? They take down INTZ and they keep their season alive yet.
Fighting back like the feral wildcats they are. They're finally starting to get W's in their books. Finally getting those very important wins. And if you're a Furia fan